How do you interview a bikie?
Carefully. The problem with people who live by a code of silence is on the rare occasion they suspend that code, they don't know the rules of engagement. So there's confusion about what's off the record and what's not. That's not peculiar to 1%ers, same with politicians, cops, business people, sports stars. With those people, when you get something wrong though, you get an angry phone call.
So you've ruffled a few feathers. That's what we hired you for.
When you get it wrong with bikies, so it's difficult. You've got to be very clear with them about what you understand to be reportable information. Even then, it's pretty hit and miss. I've had bikies tell me the most unbelievable stories about their lives. They've sat down, me with notebook, in this formal interview kind of situation. At the end of it, they've said, yeah, but that's just us talking. And I've had what I assumed was a completely off-the-record conversation and then been abused for not writing the story because the guy thought I was discounting the validity of his lived experience. He actually said those words to me.
Wow. You ever get the jitters?
You get apprehensive about how they'll react to a story once they see it in black and white in the newspaper. Bikies are an extremely diverse group. Some are career criminals, been violent bullies all their lives. And then you've got weirdos that are public servants that were the kids that got bullied and then they're sucking up to the bulliers. The rebels, the rock machine, lone wolf, they're a completely different tribe to the old school club derros and gypsy jokers and God's garbage. They don't even look like part of the same species. The one thing they all have in common is the capacity for sudden and ferocious violence. So anytime you engage with them, you have to have that in the back of your mind. You have to remember these men are inherently unpredictable. They didn't sign the social contract like the rest of us.
They ever have a go at you?
Physically, no, which is good because
I bruise like a peach.
But there have been incidents. You know this stuff. 20 years ago, I had to move out of my house because a very specific threat was made against me by the coffin shooters. I've had gang crime knock on my door for a quiet word from time to time. I've had bash-on-sight orders issued against me. I don't need to explain what a bash-on-sight order is. It pretty much does what it says on the tin.
Tread lightly.
Clearly it's a fine line, so why do you do it?
A lot of people, particularly members of my family, ask that very question. Why give bikies a voice? The latest stories in the West will no doubt have a lot of readers saying the same thing. Troy Mercanti has talked about his time in prison. He's done 2 decent stretches in jail, 2 years because of this. That's him knocking out a bloke at Geisha Bar at 5 in the morning. And then 7 years because of appalling, unforgivable violence against his former partner. Mercanti's never discussed what it was like being in jail and did so only because fellow Mongol bikie David Pye went public a week or so ago to complain about conditions in the Special Handling Unit, in particular the fact he was often locked up for 23 hours a day. Mercanti followed because he reckons Pye, who we all know is awaiting trial for allegedly masterminding the assassination of Nick Martin, has a point about how the shoe is being misused. Some people, not just crims incidentally, are saying the shoe has quietly become another wing of the MPU.
Which is?
The Management Punishment Unit, the place you put rebel scum.
I feel terrible.
The shoe should be used sparingly, not longer than 30 days at a time, but the Inspector of Custodial Services, that's the government's prison watchdog, is investigating the unit because some prisoners have been in there for years. Pye and Mercanti both suspect they were kept in the shoe as retribution and punishment rather than for the good order of the prison.
I've said it before, cry me a river.
I get it. They're bikies. They made their beds so they can lie in them, in their tiny isolation cells.
Wake up, cousin! We're going to the zoo!
Mercanti isn't looking for sympathy with this one. He made the point that because he was in the shoe for so long, he estimates 5 years in total, he didn't have a chance to complete rehab courses and so wasn't eligible for parole.
That is a long time.
He also said that chucking him in isolation just maintained his rage against the system. Now, don't say it. I know what you're thinking. Them, they're bikies. But answer me this. Do we want angry, unpredictable men like David Pye and Troy Mercanti coming out of jail even more unpredictable and even more angry?
Preferably not.
Coming out with no chance of becoming a 99%er and picking up a real job like the rest of us?
That's good different.
Probably not going to happen though.
Probably not. But under the current system, it's definitely not. Ignoring them, putting a black ban on reporting their opinions won't stop them existing. It just means nobody is ever going to understand why they do what they do, and journos haven't come close to cracking that one. The closest any writer's got to answering that question is probably Hunter S. Thompson. He spent a year with the Hells Angels in the US in the mid-60s, nearly died doing it.
Companionship and group loyalty and power. They get together and they can frighten people who might ordinarily frighten them.
They bashed him senseless.
Yeah, that's too close for comfort. Well, a good thing you're no Hunter S. Thompson.
No, I am certainly not. And generally speaking, I keep my distance from outlaw motorcycle gangs, which is more than I can say for some elected members of Parliament. Greens Senator Lidia Thorpe has been sacked from her party's leadership team after it emerged she had dated a former president of the Victorian Rebels bikie gang. His name was Dean Martin, Dusty Martin's uncle. He and Lydia met through black activism work and went out in 2021, while she was on the Joint Parliamentary Law Enforcement Committee. Dean wasn't president when they were an item. He stepped down from that position in 2018. But Lydia's staff knew that wasn't going to wash and kept telling her to disclose the relationship to party leader Adam Bant. She didn't, and Bant found out the way every politician loves to find out about a political scandal, from a journalist.
Awkward.
Lydia issued a statement saying, "I accept that I have made mistakes and have not exercised good judgment." You think? You think receiving confidential briefings about outlaw motorcycle gangs and organised crime while sharing a bed with a 25-year member of the biggest bikie gang in Australia might have been a mistake?
If those pillows could talk.
Would have been all off the record. You've got to be careful with that.
Boy, that escalated quickly.
I'm Ben Harvey. For more update, click the subscribe button below.